This is the reading at the Pedro Infante Monument at the end of Olas Altas, Mazatlán, Mexico. As you can see in the distance, we're getting ready for Carnival 2015, and the towers up on the hill in the background, and the site of the new tower, which is to the right of the cream-colored building at the base of the towers. So we were just at the Pedro Infante Monument at the other end of Olas Altas, over there in the distance. We're now at the other end of Olas Altas. The exposure level at Pedro Infante Monument was high above the human exposure level. You can see here it's increased dramatically, but we're also directly below the base of the towers, and you can see the level here is very high and well above the safe exposure level. Here we are at Plaza Leon in Centro. We're on more or less the southerly corner of the plaza. You can see the towers in the distance. This is the view around Plaza Leon. You can see the exposure level on the meter at this point right here is well over the human exposure. It's very high. We're at the northern corner of Plaza Leon. You can see we've got very high over the safe exposure level for radiation. The towers are directly behind me on the hill. And I'm going to show you that the radiation is coming from the towers by inserting myself in between the towers and radiation. The towers are now behind me, and you can see the level because my body is blocking and absorbing the radiation. And if I step away, it comes right back up to the high level that it was. And this is the view around Plaza Leon in Centro here. So the level here is dangerously high. Here we are on the other corner of Plaza Leon, further away from the towers. You can see the towers in the distance, and you can see we're way over the safe exposure level again. So the whole area of Plaza Leon is very hot with radiation from the towers. You can see the spot up on the hill where they're building the new tower, directly below the largest tower, which is going to add to and increase the radiation levels here in this area. Okay, so we're above Olas Altas where we took the readings. We were just to the left of Olas Altas, several blocks at Plaza Leon. We're now here, and here's what the levels are here. Very, very high. This is Upper Pedregosa, and you can see the towers directly behind me. And now we're getting very, very close. There's many homes in this area, and lots of potential for exposure. Once more, I'll insert myself between here, the meter, and the source of the radiation. And there again, you can see it's instantly zero. The towers are directly behind me, and the level is zero. So all of this radiation is proven coming from the towers. Here we are on Paseo Vista Hermosa. You can see the incredibly high reading right in the street, and you can see the towers right there. Okay, here we are just up the street a little bit at the site where they're building the new tower in the distance. You can see the levels off the scale on the meter, and that's the new tower site right there. So many homes in this area are off the scale on the meter reading. dangerously high radiation, and in fact most radiation meters you buy don't measure this high because it's so high above the limit. This is the reading at a house on Paseo Vista Hermosa in the courtyard, and you can see the towers directly above in the background. Here we are at the College of the Pacific on Lookout Hill. This is the reading well above exposure at the front entrance to the school. You can see the towers in the distance on Icebox Hill. The College of the Pacific is a primary school for children, elementary school, and this is the level of radiation they're being exposed to here. We've climbed further up Lookout Hill. This is the level at this point. You'll notice the towers in the distance and a direct line of sight, and they're a good 2.5 kilometers away, maybe even 3, and those are the levels we've got here. Here we are further up the street, about 150 feet from the last reading. You can see the reading here is dangerously high at this house here. This area is very hot. You can see the direct line of sight on the towers here, and the high reading. And again, if I place myself to the back, with my back to the towers, you can see how the reading drops right off, proving the radiation is coming from the towers from that direction. Here we are at the top of Lookout Hill almost. We're 2/3, 3/4 of the way up. And anyway, you can see the very high radiation level. See the towers over there in the distance. And as we get up here now, we're getting into the broadcast plane of those antennas. And even behind the trees and vegetation here, we're getting this high of reading. And we were up at this casa at the end of the road here this morning and took readings. They let us in, and it was very, very high levels. Here we are at another spot in the Machado, and the readings here are way over exposure. And again, you can see we've got more line of sight on the towers. We can now see much more, but dangerously high radiation here in Plaza Machado. Here we are. I decided to walk down into a little barrio here, right directly below the antennas, and there's a lot of homes in here, and there's a huge squatters encampment over here with tar paper and cardboard houses, and there's a lot of people live in this area being exposed to these levels of radiation, and you can see the towers right there. And so this area covers a lot of Centro, and with the close, I'm going to tell a little bit about our measuring instrument. This instrument measures from 50 cycles, 50 megahertz, to 18 gigahertz. It's extremely wide range in the measurement, and the scale goes up to 40 watts. When we were buying instruments with the help of a Soviet scientist, he's a radio physicist, $2,000 instruments only measure up to 0.03, which is maximum exposure. It's up into the dangerous, and so I was told we don't need an instrument that goes anywhere over that. Well, we're pegging this needle at 40 watts in some of our measurements, and we're way over the 0.03. So this instrument takes all of those frequencies. The worst offender is the UHF frequency of 140 to 900, which is television, and that's the worst offender of radiation on this hill, and that was measured with another instrument that quantified that and separated that out from the other radiation. Okay, here we are at this spot here. We've got 40 watts on the meter, Nobody should be here. This is very dangerous. This is where they're building the new tower right here, which is going to add much more to the radiation. This is the largest and most heaviest used public stairway on Cerro Nevaria, and this is where all the Pulmonías stop and sit with the cruise ship tourists and all of the tourists right here at this spot, and that's the radiation that you're being exposed to. So this is a very dangerous area, and every year thousands of tourists come here, are driven here, sit here 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. People come up here to watch the carnival parade, the fireworks, by the hundreds, and the radiation level right here is very dangerous. Over here in the distance we have the roof of the old Mazatlán Inn condominiums, and there are quite a few people out there on the roof directly below the towers, as in the people down here on the rooftop. And you can see the La Siesta, the Belmar, and the Freeman Hotel with the roof full of people. This is Lower Pedregoso. We're directly under the towers here, and this area is dangerously high with radiation. I'll bet you there's at least 12 or 15 people on the roof of the old Mazatlán Inn tonight, all Americans and Canadians. There's 3 or 4 people seated down here on this roof that are Americans and Canadians, and Lower Pedregoso here is all predominantly Americans and Canadians.